tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Tell You What, the podcast. We talk with musicians about songwriting and music making. My name is Mike, and our guest today is Tami Neilson, an incredible talent born and raised in Canada, currently makes her home in New Zealand. Tami's new record, Neon Cowgirl, just blew me away. It is a full-on ride from start to finish. Her amazing vocal talents will stop you in your tracks, and the songwriting is just top-notch. The variety of styles Tami is able to inhabit as a writer and as a performer is so impressive, while at the same time the album comes across as a cohesive work. It flows so well. As you will hear, Tami has had a long and quite interesting career, beginning at a very young age with her family band, writing songs in Nashville, touring for several decades, eventually moving to New Zealand, raising a family while still working as a songwriter and touring musician. In the last few years, Tami has faced some personal challenges. Her brother and musical partner Jay has battled a serious medical situation. Tami went through one of her own that had her questioning her ability to get back to performing. While over the same stretch, she had some amazing career highlights, working with Willie Nelson, debuting at the Grand Old Opry, and on this record, a collaboration with the acclaimed songwriter Ashley McBryde, which is a great story as you will hear, as well as one with Crowded House's Neil Finn. These ups and downs find their way into the songs on this record, many of which got their start on a 4-month-long RV trip through the States with her family. What a delight it was to spend some time talking with Tami. She is an energetic, thoughtful, and funny soul. This is a great conversation. Tami is one of the hardest working artists I have come across, and she certainly deserves all the attention she has been receiving of late. Quick shout out to Angie Carlson, who worked hard putting this multi-hemispheric conversation together. Much appreciated. So keep an eye out for Tami's next tour in your part of the world. I was lucky enough to catch a show of hers a few years back in Austin. It was a blast. In the meantime, spin her great record Neon Cowgirl, and for now, enjoy this Tell You What discussion with Tami Neilson.
I'm just a heart, a silly old thing you can't trust in. But is it so wrong? I don't want to be strong. I'll crumble to pieces, find sweet relief from this foolish heart. Foolish heart.
I think we're good to go.
You feel good? You feel ready?
Yeah, all good.
All right, Tami Neilson. Tami Neilson, welcome to Tell You What, the podcast. I am here at the Tell You What headquarters in Evanston, Illinois, which is in North America. And you are coming to us from where?
I am coming to you from Auckland, New Zealand.
Interesting. It is about 6 p.m. on Monday evening here. It is what, 11 a.m. on Tuesday.
So, hello from the future.
Yeah, you're in the future. Yeah. What is it like? Does it get better?
I hate to tell you, Mike.
Damn it.
I'm a bit like Doc Brown in Back to the Future. I can't tell you or it'll wreck time.
All right, we don't want to mess with the continuum. All right, well, thank you for finding the time. We find this little window where we're both awake, and we're going to make the best of it. You have this excellent album you recently released, Neon Cowgirl. It is getting some well-deserved attention. How does it feel to have this out in the world? It must feel good to hear folks are enjoying it so much.
Yeah. You know, I always say, like, releasing an album, it kind of feels like, you know, it's obviously something you've been living with for normally 18 months or 2 years, right, before it comes out. And so it kind of feels like buying the perfect Christmas present on the 1st of January. That you have to wait and wait and wait. And you're like, come on, I just want to share it. So yeah, it's really, it's kind of a mix of so many feelings. When you release it, it's like, oh, finally I get to share it. And it's so satisfying when it starts to connect with people. But then you also get that whole feeling of like, oh, well, it's out. Now what? You know? That
Get going on the next one.
Exactly.
Well, we will dig into the record in more detail in a little bit, but for now, let's go back and talk about your creative path, where you come from musically. You were born and raised, for the most part, in Canada, Toronto, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As part of a musical family, in fact, on the road with a family band for a good portion of your youth. Do I have that right?
Yeah. So I was born in Canada and lived in Toronto for a few years, as long as I've probably lived anywhere, and probably a decade before we hit the road and started, a life of touring. And I was in a family band with my mom and dad and my two brothers. Yeah, started touring when I was about 10 or 11 and carried on well into my 20s.
With the family band?
With the family band, yeah.
Wow.
Until I then met and married a New Zealander and started all over again on the other side of the world. But yeah, haven't stopped touring from the time I was just a little fart.
Yeah. How much were you on the road when you were 12 years old?
We toured full time from the time, it kind of started out in a little Dodge Shadow with a homemade wooden trailer pulled behind us with all our gear in it, and graduated to then a van, and then graduated ultimately to a motorhome. But that was over many years of hotels and, friends' floors and and
most of your time was spent on the road.
Yeah. A lot of the time was spent touring pretty much full time, but winters and things would be kind of the time when we would go back home.
Okay.
When there wasn't a lot of that happening.
Festivals. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of musicians here, and sometimes we talk about this idea of a young person playing the guitar or singing, and they grow up and they're in grade school and high school and college, and at some point they have this realization that, wait, people do this for a living or as their vocation, and it's like this realization that they have. For you, this was your life. Music was your life, and so there was never a time when you had that thought, probably.
No, for me it was like, oh, people do this for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have to do this
it's
for
a little
work.
Different.
They just do it as a hobby.
But you were singing. Has your voice always been your primary instrument?
Yes, very much so. From the time I was, I guess about 8 or 9, I've always kind of seen guitar playing as like, it's a necessary tool, but it's not my love. Right. Not like, other, like my brothers, my brother Jay, who is a frequent co-writer and collaborator of mine. His first love was playing and writing on guitar. So I was definitely always focused on my voice and being a vocalist first.
So when did songwriting start for you?
Songwriting started, my very first song was when I was 9 years old, and it was called You're the Best Dad.
Topical.
And there was a line in that song that said, "You're the best dad I ever had." And I had only had one dad, so that was both true and not particularly profound. I was nine. But I remember, because my dad was a musician and had a little home, 8-track. I can remember him saying, he was thrilled to bits. And of course, now as a parent myself, I am over the moon if my kids write anything, Right. So he's like, let's record it. And I remember him playing guitar and bass. And then I did this track. I did the percussion. It was, those green Lego, like the grass. It's like the square that you build your Lego on.
Yes, the flat one, yes.
The flat kind of panel. And I had a stick and ran the stick across the Lego. So it was almost like this little percussive.
Yeah.
That was my big recording debut of percussion. But I'd been recording before that with my voice. Yeah.
So that was your first song. Did you just keep writing songs after that?
No, that was kind of my first little foray, writing. But I didn't kind of take it seriously as kind of its own vocation. I think that the turning point for me, obviously my dad was always encouraging all of us to, lean into all those talents, but it took an outside influence. I remember sitting and watching Coal Miner's Daughter, Sissy Spacek playing Loretta Lynn, and watching the scene where she's like sitting on the porch with a million kids around her feet next to the washing machine and just making up a song. And I thought, I had this kind of moment. I think I probably was like 14 or 15, and I thought, oh man, if she can do it, then I can do this. Much to my dad's delight, because he didn't ever want to like push us. I said, can you teach me some chords on the guitar? And I learned You Ain't Woman Enough. And then from then on, I got the bug. I'm like, I'm going to start writing my own songs.
Did you perform them when you were younger in public?
Yeah. So because we were a touring family band, it was like, as soon as I'd write something, it was an immediate, okay, let's put this in the show.
Wow.
So I don't know how much quality control was there, but yeah. So some of the very first songs I wrote were on our self-titled album, The Neilsons. So me and my dad, or me and my brother Jay, but first it was me and my dad, used to go into the back room of the motorhome, and him with his guitar and me with my notebook, and we would write in between kind of when we were doing shows. And one of the first co-writes, my dad and I wrote a song called Windows to the Past, which ended up being the first single off of our country album, The Neilsons. And then the first song I ever wrote by myself was one of our singles. And if you look on the interwebs, the magical interwebs, you will find the music videos for these.
And you were what, 14, 15 years old at this point?
I would have been like, I think by this, 16. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably 16 or thereabouts. I wrote a song called We'll Hold On. It was one of those, I don't often get these, but you hear people getting songs in dreams. Right. I know Dolly talks about it a lot. And I do get them, but you wake up and you're like, that's a piece of steaming turd. But in the dream, it sounds amazing. So,
no, it's always amazing in the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. So this song, We'll Hold On, I remember it was in a dream, and it was Vince Gill singing it and I forget who the female artist was, but anyway, singing it as like a duet, and they were like in this music video hugging and singing this song. Yeah,
that's a pretty specific dream.
It was a very specific, that's why I remember it, because it does not happen. I don't know that it's happened since.
And this one made it on the record.
It did. I mean, proud parents, But
you got to get Vince to record it. You should have gotten Vince to record that at some point. Yeah.
I met him for the first time just a couple months ago on the Opry. So I
think you ought to make this happen. I'll see what I can do.
It's worthy. I don't know that it's worthy. It's what is it? I'll hold you, you hold me, we'll hold on. And it is on the magic of the internet. So go enjoy that.
I'm going to send it to Vince. We're going to make this happen.
Oh God.
Let's talk about your creative process now, how your songs tend to come together. I'm sure there's not one way, but how some of these songs are finding their way into final form. As we've already talked about, you've been at this for a while, so maybe it's changed over time. You can take this question in any direction that you like.
It has most definitely changed over time. I think the thing that has kind of dictated my process as it is now was becoming a parent. and having small children, you become very time poor. You have to kind of make as much of an impact in as little time as possible to be productive in writing. And so what my process now has definitely been born of lack of time to just sit and write. And so it's been very much collecting scraps or collecting ingredients, as I like to say, so you'll get little title ideas or a melody idea or a song idea and quickly kind of put that in your voice memo on your phone, wherever it hits you. Normally it's when you actually have some ambient headspace where it's like when you're driving, when you're in the shower, it's rare that you get those quiet moments where a scrap of a song can sneak through when you're a parent of younger kids. It has become collecting all of these kind of ingredients throughout the year. Normally between albums, I tend to kind of, put out an album every 18 months or 18 months to 2 years, which isn't a lot of time between projects. And so I kind of collect those little ingredients and scraps. And then normally what I do is I set a deadline. I book studio time. And that will happen before I even have songs. And
put the pressure on yourself.
Put the pressure on myself because it's like, well, this is the window I have between touring and family life and all of those commitments, which are very full on. And so I'm like, this is my window of time. If I'm going to record an album this year, it has to happen in this window. Yep. And so I book it and then I start going through all my ingredients and I start cooking them up. So you just start cooking up all those ingredients.
And so you may be working on multiple songs at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, that can happen for sure.
Your songs cross into a number of different musical styles. There's some classic country, some rockabilly, some R&B. The common thread between them, of course, is your amazing voice. So when these song ideas are coming to you in their early forms, do you hear them in a certain style from the start, or do you have the musical or lyrical idea that maybe you try out in different styles to see what fits?
It depends on the song. Like sometimes that can happen where I, write something and then the style changes or the groove changes. But many times my writing starts with a groove or a feel. And so that can kind of dictate where the song's going to go. Sometimes I will have kind of a specific sonic world I want the album to be in. So like for Neon Cowgirl, for instance, I very much had kind of a compass of, my north, south, east, west. My 4 pillars were Roy Orbison, Patsy Cline, Katie Lang, and Elvis. And I kind of wanted the songs to be in that world. There are definitely songs that aren't completely in that world. Sometimes the song will take on a different life of its own in the studio when you're performing it, in the mixing, so a lot of that can be dictated after it's written.
Yes. But you had those 4 influence hovering over you as you were putting these songs together.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I find that does help me. I guess it's also comes back to that like parenting thing where you're like, I need to make this as succinct and streamlined as possible because I've only got this time. So I guess I tend to also musically look at it like it kind of eliminates going too many places if I have a specific direction. Yeah. And helps because when you're creative, you're like, sky's the limit. I could write anything, but sure, you're kind of trying to stay in a world. At least I feel that way for my albums. I'm trying to kind of create a world and a journey for the listener.
Well, you picked a pretty powerful foursome to write this album within. I look forward to the next Mount Rushmore you put together for the next record to see. to see where you go. Let's dive into some of these songs, specifically on this record. I want to talk about the song Borrow My Boots. This is a great song. I'd say it's a kick-ass song, and it is kind of about kicking some ass, maybe, right? Song about women helping each other out, particularly in the music business. I love the way the title line is used. I'm gonna speak part of the chorus here. Sometimes the only way through is to knock it down, break it loose, kick it in. You can borrow my boots. Really hammers the point of the song home, and it's a great hook. Now, there are a number of songs in this record that really reflect the musical life you've been living the last few years, the highs and the lows. We're going to talk about that. But on this one, you collaborated with Ashley McBryde. She's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, no biggie, just won a Grammy for songwriting. Yeah.
Whatever. But the backstory to this song, I find interesting because you basically did, in a sense, borrow her boots, right? She boosted you and your music up, and then you wrote and performed this song with her, right? Is that the sequence?
It's kind of a wild
Tell us about
sequence because,
Yeah.
Remember that show Nashville?
Yep.
And, I used to watch that show as a musician and a songwriter and be like, oh my God, this is so unrealistic. Like, they're writing a song and then 2 minutes later they're playing it with a full band, on the Opry. And I'm like, how do they even know the words? How do they know the song? And you'd pick it apart. And I'm like, this is just so far-fetched. And then it happened to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. That's actually based on Nashville Magic. I played a show a year ago with Ashley. We were asked to be part of this PBS special. Shout out PBS. Please go donate to them. Who were putting on a night celebrating the music of Patsy Cline. And it was this star-studded lineup. It was like Winona Judd and Pat Benatar and Kristen Chenoweth and Ashley McBryde and
Tami Neilson.
And I'm like, how did I get here? Did they know I'm not that Tammy? Like, did they not get the brief? This is the wrong Tammy. It was high cotton, let me tell you. But
yeah.
So I wanted to meet Ashley because she to me is one of the best country songwriters of our time, and really wanted to introduce myself. And so I met her just briefly before the show, but then it wasn't until afterward, she told me this later, that she and Shelley Fairchild were in the change room getting ready, and they heard me start singing, and they left the makeup table. Like, they came running out of their change room out into the auditorium because they were like, we had to hear, like, who the hell is this?
Yeah.
And so the next morning I woke up to a DM from Ashley saying that she loved my voice and had become a huge fan, and she was digging into my catalog, and that the songs were speaking to her and encouraging her. And it was just amazing. Just
great.
What you dream of, and,
yep.
And then a couple of months later, she was walking the red carpet of the CMAs, and she tagged me because she was listening to one of my songs, Careless Woman, as her hype song while she was getting ready, which that blew my mind. And then a couple months later, I get a message from her, and she goes, "Can you send me your phone number?" And I said, okay. So I sent it, and I get this call, and she said, "I am co-hosting CMA Fest with Jelly Roll, and no big deal. And at the big Bridgestone in Nashville." And she said, and I've got all these appearances and I've got all my outfits sorted, but for all the things where I'm running between gigs and I'm going to do press and interviews, I want to be wearing a Tami Neilson t-shirt, and I want your face and I want your name. And I've gone on your website and there isn't one t-shirt with your face and your name on it. And so she said, "I want your permission, if you send me a photo that you like, to have my designer make a t-shirt
Oh, wow.
A Tami Neilson t-shirt that I can wear at CMA Fest. I'm
Wow.
like, and like just next level. Like I am privileged to be surrounded by an incredible sisterhood in the music industry. But this was like a level I had never experienced before, this kind of championing. And literally, borrowing her boots.
And then the song came about.
Yeah, like when I had this idea, so I had that chorus, the lines that you just spoke, and I said to her, like, I can't think of anyone better to write this song with. Like, she embodies this song, you know?
Right.
So I had finished all the songs for the album. It was a week out till we went into the studio. And she said, okay, let's get on Zoom. She and Shelly and myself jumped on Zoom, wrote the song in an hour. And a week later, we were recording it in the studio. And my band, literally, I was like, you know, we had rehearsed all the songs to go into the studio, and we got into the studio, and I pull out this, by the way, here's a new song for you to learn on the spot. And that's how it was. And it was crazy because it went from writing it in an hour to recording it a week later to debuting it on the stage of the Grand Old Opry with Shelly and Ashley and Grace Bowers.
Wow.
On my Opry debut 1 month later. It was an episode of Nashville.
I know. I didn't see that episode, but I'll be sure to tune into the rerun. What an amazing story. And I love it that the song itself is the story, right? I mean, it's so perfectly encapsulated, the whole thing, right?
It's just, it's wild.
Yeah.
And that song is so special to me for so many reasons.
If there's a wall too high to climb and you can't see over, well, you can see just fine standing on my shoulders. Sure do. Seems too tall, no way around. Brick by brick, we take the whole thing down. Come on, girl, listen what I told you. Hey, sister, sometimes the only way through is to knock it down, break it loose, kick it in. You can borrow my boots, blow it up, light the fuse, kick it in. You can borrow my
Speaking of getting boosted up, you also got a boost from another person, none other than Willie Nelson, right? You got him to sing with you on your song Beyond the Stars a couple years back. You played at his Luck Ranch, toured with him and Bob Dylan this summer. We could do a whole episode talking about what that was like, what Willie's like. We don't have time for that. So what I'm going to do is I would recommend folks check out your episodes on the awesome Otis Gibbs YouTube channel, right? You talked about the Willie stuff on there, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, Otis is awesome.
Yeah, so people can go there to hear all your Willie stories. There's some good stuff. But let me ask you this. If you think about your time working with Willie, being around him in his operation, getting to spend time with him, do you think it has affected your approach to your songwriting or your music making in any way?
Willie has impacted every part of my life. You know, of course, musically, he just sets the bar for everyone around him just by being such an incredible human being. And he had already, you know, obviously before I ever got to meet him, he's been one of my kind of Northern Star artists. Everything from the fact that he, you know, didn't make it till he was in his 40s. You know, that's always inspired me, that he is very genre fluid, that he will do everything from there's jazz, there's ranchero, there's country, gospel, blues, everything is in his music. And so I'm very much an artist that gets told that it's my greatest weakness and my greatest strength that I have so many diverse kind of songs on one album that we can't just put it all into one neat marketing package. But Willie's always been that artist as well. And I think he just has inspired me to not take things so seriously. You know, he's so prolific I mean, he out tours and out releases all of us. Like, he's 92 and he's still putting out like 2 or 3 albums a year. His output is insane. And when you're that prolific and the songs just keep coming and it's a state of being. It's not like, being precious about, well, that song's not perfect, or this, this is going to last forever, so it has to be perfect. It's very much like I breathe and I sleep and I live and I write songs. Yeah. And all those things are things I do all the time. Yeah. And that's what it means to be creative.
That's great. Has been inspiring to you in a number of ways, and then to be able to meet and work with him was just icing, I'm sure.
Well, after you work with him, like, I can remember as a songwriter, like, the first time we sat in the room together, it was during COVID, so he had sent his parts beaming in from his studio. Yep. So we hadn't performed yet together, and we were performing it live at Luck the next day, and we sat in a room in his lounge, in his living room, just normal, and just with our guitars, and he just wanted to run the song. And I'm sitting on his couch and he's sitting on a chair in front of me, across from me, and we're singing the song and running it. And then he gets to his verse and he's singing, and he sings the line, I won't let the breath leave my chest without taking you with me. And he just stops and he looks at me, and I thought, oh my God, what's wrong? And he said, that's a good line right there. Oh. And I'm like, nobody else can tell me anything. We're done here.
You got Willie. Yeah, that's great. That is so good. You could retire right then, maybe.
Pretty much. I was considering it. I'm like, this is it. I've peaked.
Thank you for one good Willie anecdote. That's awesome. Let's get back to some of these songs. I want to talk about the song U-Haul Blues, if we can. I'm assuming this song is at least somewhat biographical in nature. Yes. A number of these songs in this record are reflections on your professional and personal life. They use metaphor and other devices to get the point across, right? But this song talks specifically about a rough childhood, some desperate situations. We don't need to get into the specifics of your personal history, but from a songwriting perspective, there are some pretty specific images in this song. Was this your first time writing about these topics? Was it hard to bring these things to the page and perform the song? Maybe was it helpful to process this as part of your creative output?
Yeah, this is definitely the first time I've written about some of these things. There are moments that I touch on in past songs like 10-Ton Truck, or songs about, the music business side of it. But this kind of even, is pre that, when it's talking about, my mom being in bed with depression and my dad leaving and all of those things. That is definitely before we even started playing music. And I started playing very young, as I said, at like 10 or 11. So this is kind of touching on some of the darker beginnings. And, it's funny that you bring it up, because I perform it and people have talked about it in reviews and all of that. And nobody has really, has not caught what this song's actually about. I think because it's such a swampy, groovy song, people get caught up in the music and they're like, oh, this is cool. And they're all dancing to it at a show. And when I perform it live, and then in reviews, they kind of, I guess, maybe, they're having to cover a whole album. So they might gloss over, oh, this song is about her growing up on the road, or this is a song about being a musician. But it's actually not a song about being a musician. Some of it is, but a lot of it predates that, and is just about, childhood heartbreak, or the first time kind of that you feel that your parents are fallible.
Right.
And when it says, baby girl, you don't get to be a baby no more, that happened really young for me at, 7 years old when my parents were separated for a couple of years. And my mom went into a deep depression, and I kind of had to become very much like the grown-up in the house for my younger brothers, while my mom was kind of incapacitated emotionally. And so I think as you get older, you reflect on these things. My dad is now gone as well, so I feel that I can share that without hurting him.
Right.
My mom has recently written a book where she talks about these things extensively, and so I felt kind of a freedom and a release to dive deeper into the truth of my background, where I hadn't gone before because I didn't want to hurt anyone.
Right.
And so it was being careful navigating that. But I do love that you picked up on that, because people haven't. They kind of hear the surface of it being this cool, fun, groovy song, without kind of diving a little bit deeper into the lyrical content.
Which is also kind of the craft of the song itself, right? To hide that in the music.
Exactly.
Right?
A lot of it's not kind of this ballad. I do tend to wear my heart on my sleeve and be very exposed and vulnerable in my lyrics, but kind of wrap it in this candy-coated packaging that you do have to kind of dig a little deeper into the heart of the matter if you're going to get past just the sonic side of it.
Daddy lost his job, then he lost his mind. Can't feed no family on a government dime. I was working 2 jobs, trying to make rent. Every dollar I made was already spent. Daddy got a U-Haul bag full of clothes. The big bad wolf come knocking at the door. Hear him howl, hit the road. Baby girl, you don't get to be a baby no more. Baby girl, you don't get to be a baby no more. You don't get to be a baby no more. Baby girl, you don't get to be a baby no.
I appreciate your willingness to talk about that song. I want to move to another topic. You've done work writing and singing for TV shows and movies, right? Talk about the difference in your songwriting approach, writing specifically for a TV show or a movie versus writing for your albums or performance, live performance.
Yeah, well, when we touched earlier on putting those 4 pillars or my Mount Rushmore, that is something I didn't always do, and I think that has been a direct result of kind of honing in, almost giving myself a brief.
Right, a prompt of some sort.
Exactly, because I never, ever had that before until I started writing for projects or the voice of another character that wasn't me. So the first time I received a brief was writing for a SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and I was asked to write and be the voice of Sandy Cheeks, who is, I didn't sing her parts, but I was writing for Carolyn Lawrence, who's an icon, for her to sing as Sandy Cheeks. And so to write for the voice of a very specific character who has very specific origins and kind of this framework that's iconic and that already exists was very different for me. And I actually really enjoyed it because it kind of made it so easy to go, oh, this is the world. This is the whole character already formed. She's a squirrel from Texas. She grew up in a performing family band, in a motorhome. She then moved to the South Pacific to follow her heart and become a scientist at the bottom of the ocean. And she doesn't really belong there, but she's embraced by her community. I'm like, I am Sandy Cheeks.
Oh, that is so great. Yeah.
But it's you kind of quickly, and she's this country singing squirrel. And so I really loved having those parameters and being like, oh, wow, I can totally sink myself into her world. And so I do find that it has really informed how I've written this album. This is, I think, this is the first album I've written since taking on kind of those briefs.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, my kids are grown up, but we are a SpongeBob family. And in my house, what you did there would probably rank alongside the Willie Nelson collaboration.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like twin pillars, I would say.
Totally. Like my boys, there's Willie and SpongeBob, and they are tied in our house.
That's great.
So my parents, my kids were like, oh, Willie Nelson. And I'm
right.
But SpongeBob. Oh, okay. Now we know. My boys are now 11 and 13. But when I was doing the SpongeBob, they would have been 8 or 9 kind of thing. And so,
perfect.
Total SpongeBob world. So taking that was like, I'm like, well, this is it. This is the highlight of my career because my kids think I'm cool. And
right.
I'm going to live on this for as long as I can.
Well, this brings us to the song from the record, You're Gonna Fall, one of my favorites on the record. When I heard it, I was like, oh, this sounds like a cool old movie song, right? Now, am I correct? This song was for a TV show, or tell me the story of this song. Okay.
So Mike, I'm going to tell you because you're a songwriter and I'm going back even farther than I tell people. So this song originally, as I've said in the media, I wrote it for the Brokenwood Mysteries, which is a murder mystery show here in New Zealand.
Very popular over there, I understand.
Yeah, and it's actually popular everywhere. I'm learning as I tour. It's on Acorn TV in the States, and so it's kind of this quaint little murder mystery show, if you can even say such a thing. Right. And so that is where the story normally starts. Where the story actually starts of writing that song, SpongeBob series, we're doing another movie, and this time it was Plankton. And Plankton, if for anyone who knows, is like the supervillain of the SpongeBob universe. Yep. Him and his wife, Karen. She's a computer, and his whole focus is world domination and being a villain, which is hilarious. And so Karen Rockman, who had been the music supervisor for the Sandy Cheeks movie, got in touch with me and said, we're looking for a song for Plankton and Karen. We need a love song, a duet. But they're both villains.
But they're villains,
so it needs to be dark and edgy. And I'm like, say no more. I am there. This is like, to me, it is Nancy and Lee. It is Sonny and Cher. Like I'm totally in this world for Plankton and Karen. And I wrote this song, and it was called You're Gonna Run. And wrote this song for Plankton and Karen to sing to each other. It was their beautiful villain love story, like the Bonnie and Clyde of the SpongeBob universe. And I didn't get the song. I didn't get the pitch. Brett McKenzie and Linda Perry got it. Whatever.
All right. We'll give it to them.
I guess they're pretty good too.
Yeah.
But then I had this song, which I actually really loved. And it was way more tongue-in-cheek and had crazy, scientific words in it for Plankton and Karen.
Right.
So I'm like, can I do this? Because a lot of times I find it really hard to rewrite a song without it kind of feeling like it just turns into this turd in a milkshake. It just, the essence of it gets lost sometimes for me in a rewrite. And I can't kind of separate my mind from the original. But I'm like, no, I think enough time has passed. Like, we had demoed it. We had great music. It was what you hear on the album is the music.
From the original version.
Yeah. So the band, everyone, we had recorded it. So I went in and I rewrote the lyrics, and that is now You're Gonna Fall.
Yeah.
It's originally a love story between two supervillains.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great story. Thank you for giving us the backstory on that one. And you got to work with J.D. McPherson, whose like vibe is so perfect for this song,
so
right?
Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
He's such a lover of like Lee Hazelwood, and he's so well versed in the universe that I come from and the influences that I love. And he's kind of always been one of my dream, if I had a dream collaborator, that's who it would be. So it was just kind of magic that
it's a lot of magic happening to you.
Lots of stardust.
When the rooster crows, that old boy already knows you're gonna fall.
When the shadows climb, you'll already be mine. You're gonna fall.
You bolt the lock on your heart, but it's in vain now. I'll scale the walls you put up to keep the pain out.
White flag high and kiss your ass goodbye. You're gonna fall.
You're gonna fall. You're gonna fall into my arms. You're gonna fall. I'll be the one, knock your head over heels and heels over heart. You're gonna fall. You're gonna fall.
We've been talking for a while. I want to try and squeeze in one more song if we can here, Tami, if you have time to talk to us for a few more minutes. The big picture theme of this record, in my opinion, is like the ups and downs of the life you've chosen, the sacrifices you have to make, the complications, hard work, frustration, but also all the high points. And you were kind of living those highs and lows literally over the couple of years that this album was coming together, right? You had some triumphs and tragedy in your life while this was happening. We don't need to get into all that. But I want to talk about the song Heartbreak City, USA. It kind of encapsulates some of this. It says it all. And just the title, Heartbreak City, says it all in terms of the ups and downs of this life that you have chosen, right? It's a great song. It sounds like it. You mentioned Elvis. I have it written down here. It sounds like it came out of Sun Studios in the early Elvis days. So talk about the song and how it kind of encapsulates kind of the message of a lot of these songs and the life that you have lived for the past few years.
Yeah, this is one of those songs. It was an old song idea of my brother Jay. He kind of had this, and Jay rarely, he is not a lyricist. He kind of strictly loves the composing part of it. So he normally sends me little snippets of song ideas that are just him mumbling, and kind of mumbling something and sending me music. But this was different. He had this title, Heartbreak City, USA. And that just kind of grabbed me. Originally, this is a song that went on a journey too. I must have rewritten this song 3 times. There are 3 different versions of this song, not musically. They're all the same music, but lyrically. And at first, it was, to me, I wanted it to be like a Viva Las Vegas. And having just spent time in Vegas with my kids and my husband on our tour across the States, we did this epic tour for 6 months in an RV, and Vegas was one of our stops. And I was just inspired. And my son was a 9-year-old, was obsessed with Elvis at the time. And so Elvis became a really big part of that trip for us. And when I first wrote, I was writing about Vegas, but the dark side of Vegas. And then I didn't like it. I'm like, that's not Heartbreak City, USA to me, in my personal experience. Obviously Vegas has its own neon cowgirl. But I'm like, that's not my neon cowgirl. That, Nashville is my neon cowgirl.
Right.
And it suddenly, as soon as I shifted the focus to writing about Nashville, because obviously Nashville is known as Music City, USA. And so as soon as it was Heartbreak City, USA was Nashville, it flowed out of me, and it was not a labor at all. Yeah. Whereas previously writing it about Vegas was not at all connected to me. And so I guess the focus became, what if Elvis, what if he wrote Viva Las Vegas about Nashville?
Yeah.
Then I was away. You kind of get that cue and you're like, yes, this is my brief.
Yeah, the brief.
Yeah. And then I was away as soon as it kind of had a personal heart connection. And so it just embodies all of those. God, I spent most of my late teens, early 20s going to Nashville monthly, doing writing trips.
Yeah.
And spent, half my life living in Nashville, kind of chasing that neon cowgirl and always returning back to her over and over again. And so Heartbreak City, USA is very much the plight of not just the artist, it's the plight of the songwriter. It is a songwriter, not, we hear a lot of songs about artists trying to make it in Nashville, but we don't hear a heap of songs about songwriters trying to make it in Nashville. And this was very much, performing 6-string surgery night and day,
I love that line. Yeah.
Yeah. And turning our misery into melodies. Yeah. So Heartbreak City, USA suddenly became very easy to write when it was really, really personal.
From music roll to a stadium show, a good song to rocket in the sky. From honky-tonk bars to trucks and cars, pouring out the windows on I-65. We bare our souls for the 004, making melodies to convey all the things you wish that you could say. Care of Heartbreak City, USA. Heartbreak City, USA. Heartbreak City, Heartbreak City. We trade our misery for melody, ease the pain. Heartbreak City, USA. Heartbreak City, Heartbreak City. Performing 6-string surgery night and day. Care of Heartbreak City, USA.
I think we can hear the ease of the writing in the song because it just flows so well. It is such a great package of a song.
It only took 3 goes.
It got easy the third time. Well, Tami, I think I've taken up enough of your time. I have so many other things that we could talk about. Maybe we'll have to do this again sometime. I'd love to sit down with you in person sometime next time you're over in the States. But I just want to say, as we've discussed, you've been through a lot. You've worked so hard to pursue your craft and get your music out there. I just want to say thank you for doing it. Your songs and your performances make people happy. Even though sometimes, as we talked about, you sing about hard times, you are bringing joy and connection to the world, making it a better place for us. So on behalf of the world, thanks.
Mike, stop it. I'm sitting here crying at my computer, damn you.
Yeah. Well, I something about your music and the way it presented itself to me and talking to you, just I find you inspiring, and I think other people will too.
That's so kind. Thank you so much.
And thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Mike.
Enjoy the future down there in New Zealand.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know how it's going.
All right, Tami.
I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell